Hello everyone and welcome to this Fireside chat with ABG. Today with me we have Mr. Håkan Dahlström, CEO at Eltel, and we will be discussing some general observations about the market and the strategy and outlook going forward. But before we do that, perhaps you can just give the people watching a quick introduction to Eltel as a company.
Eltel is the leading service provider in the Nordics in the area of power and telecommunication, and we also are now establishing ourselves in the green energy area.
Yeah, that was short and concise, just like we like it. So with that being said, can we just sort of go into the different verticals that you're operating in, the power side and the communication side? How do you experience sort of the demand in the market at the moment?
Yeah, we see, if we start with the communication area, we see that the traditional telcos, they are a bit careful with the investment levels just now, but we see also that other type of customers is coming up, particularly public infrastructure have been very strong for some time and is keeping up the levels in a really good way. But we see also that large industry companies are looking for more and more complex communication solutions. So similar services as we have delivered to the classic telco operators, we now have a much broader demand from the market. On the power side, I would say that there is a lot of initiatives. However, a little bit hesitation in some investment decisions due to the interest rate and the energy prices. I think the energy prices, particularly in the Finnish market, have come down further than the people expected. So a little bit slow, but still a very nice level, yes.
And in the pockets of the market that are sort of seeing a bit more hesitation among the customers, how are you sort of adapting to that environment?
Yeah, we try to look broader in the market and see, okay, where have we a possibility to add value? And I think that is a very interesting journey that we are on, yes.
And then if we sort of move on to, or away from the traditional areas and into the new business areas that you're looking at, like electric vehicle chargings and solar panels, wind power, what type of opportunities are you seeing there, and what's the current situation like in the market?
I would claim it's a fantastic opportunity. There's so much happening here, and so many wants to talk to Eltel about different opportunities and projects. And it's also great to see that it's not only about price. In the traditional business we are in, there is very much about price and efficiency. But when it comes to these new areas, it's much more about the capabilities. And this is, of course, for many, it's a new area also for us. So we have now a revenue and experience in all those areas in all our Nordic countries. And I think that is really nice. And we see this will be an even more important area going forward for us.
So what is, in that sense, sort of the competitive advantage for Eltel? If customers are looking at capability rather than price, where are you sort of differentiating yourself?
Let's take solar park of utility scale as an example. It's quite large project, and here we have experience from doing really large rollout project in the utility business, like smart grid. We have many 100,000 meters that we swap yearly, and this type of project is not so different when you manage it if you compare to a solar park. So we see that they are very interested and trust our capability to do this type of establishment.
And how large a share of sort of your operations are these new businesses at the moment, and how large do you see them becoming if we look sort of 3-5 years down the line?
Yeah, so as of today, they are not a big portion, but they are important for us, and particularly, as you point out, in the future. So if this will be 20% of our revenue 2 years down the road, or if it will be 25, I can't really say, but I believe it will be in the neighborhood of 20% in 2 to 3 years' time.
And then switching subjects on focusing a bit on the sort of margin side. Obviously, you've had a couple of years now as CEO at the company. When you took over, it was a clear statement that margins have to improve. So can you just talk about the last 2 years or so and what sort of initiatives you've taken to raise the profitability?
When I joined 2 years ago, Eltel was hit by the inflation, and we have to admit that we were not prepared for that. That's just a fact. What we have done now is that we have built, we have done actions here and now, like looking at how can we sell better now, how can we improve all our sales activity, but on the same time reduce our overhead. But we also need to think that we are building the company a bit long term. So what we have done, and now it's 1.5 years since we launched our new strategy, and now it's half a year since we launched our new values. What we now are addressing is the leadership, the business mindset in the company, building a culture for being a profitable, customer-oriented company. And this takes a bit of time, of course. So we do that in parallel with actions here and now about sales and cost efficiency. I think we will always work on those, but I think that should be done in combination with strategy, value, leadership. And by that, we will build a company that is strong for the future.
And then you've talked also about sort of working with pricing and general commercial terms on your contracts. Can you expand a bit on sort of the roadmap there and what you have done, what's left to do?
Yeah, during these 2 years, I would claim that we see that the demand is larger than the supply in the market. And then, of course, we always have different areas where that is not the case, and we have to adjust the organization, and we're working with that constantly. But I would claim that we see great opportunity to improve and have a higher commercial ambitions. And I think you could see that in our numbers when it comes to net working capital, for example, that we have, in a successful way, adjusted and improved our terms for invoicing, but also for payment. And also the margin is coming up day by day.
And then moving away from sort of the organic side of things, you also made a divestment fairly recently of the Polish high voltage business. It was a non-profitable part of the business. And are there sort of other aspects that you are looking at the business where you can sort of get rid of and focus more on your core activities?
No, I think we have the platform now, so to say. I would say when it comes to this type of M&A and divestment, I think the next step in this is actually that we would invest in something in the Nordics, not big, but something to accelerate our strategy.
Okay. And could you give us some sort of flavor on what criteria you would be looking for in a potential acquisition? Would you be looking for a new product vertical or increased exposure to a certain geographic market?
That would be within the strategy we have, but to be able to accelerate that going, and by that we also mean that we would, with the M&A, also strengthen our margin.
Okay.
But not broaden, more to do what we already have said we will do. So within this area of electrification and green energy, we could foresee a move in the future.
Yeah. And then just to round things off, taking a step back and a very broad question, if everything goes as planned in the next 5 years, where do you see Eltel in 5 years, and how are you a different company compared to today?
Yeah, I would say in 5 years' time, I think that Eltel will be recognized for being a significant contributor to the transformation that is ongoing in the society with electrification and more advanced communication solution. Eltel is the company that actually is establishing this type of infrastructure and make sure that it is robust and up working 24/7. So I think Eltel in 5 years' time will be recognized also in the green energy area.
Perfect. With that being said, Håkan, I'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you to everyone watching as well.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.